Acting. Some questions. Or sorry, opening statement and then questions.
Just a really good job by our team. I think proud of the guys for the way they fought. It wasn't going our way early, certainly, and kind of looked like it was gonna be a little bit of a shaky day. And the guys kept fighting offensively. I thought we were fantastic. We did some really good things at the plate, and then we did enough on the mound till the end there with Will, where he was unbelievable for 11 pitches to get us to save there in the bottom of the inning. And I ultimately just really really proud of the team.
Go ahead, Bob.
Matt, congrats. That was brilliant strategy to have Helfrink hit that ninth inning dinger. I don't think anybody would have expected that. I mean, seriously, the guy's 2 for 19. He's a freshman, first SEC at bat. I guess he hit the first SEC pitch he ever saw. Just what'd you think of that at bat? What was the reaction like in the dugout and everything?
Well, if you know Ryder, everyone's always pulling for this kid because he works so hard, and he's really tough on himself when he doesn't do well, and he had been struggling. So the reaction in the dugout was elation, not just because we took the lead. I mean, obviously that was important too, but they're all happy for him because of how hard he works, and everybody knows what he puts into this thing and how important it is for him to be, to do his job. And when we made the move to pinch hit Souza, we knew we had to go to Helfrich because we had Hudson White DHing. So we didn't have another option there. We didn't have another move to make because he was the third catcher available today, and we only have 3 on the roster. So we knew Ryder was going to the game, and he's just going to have to stay in there. There was no other move for us to make. So everyone was really happy for him. I mean, we've seen him do this. We've seen him do it in the fall. We saw him do it early in the spring. It's been uneven for him, but it doesn't mean the kid's not super talented and that everybody on our staff has a lot of faith in him.
Well, he had hit a home. I mean, he had 2 hits, but one of them was a home run, so he's obviously got some power. But I guess I mean, how surprised were you that he did that in that situation?
I mean, obviously, with his numbers, the way that they've been and how he'd been swinging the bat, you're obviously going to be surprised by that. You're surprised by anybody doing that in the ninth inning of a tie ball game in the SEC, and you're certainly happy. Now, the matchup was good because the ball was running into his barrel and it wasn't extreme velocity, and Ryder can cheat into that pitch, and his swing works that way anyway. So, me and Coach Thompson were talking about it before the at bat. When we went up there, we're like, we kind of like the matchup, and we'll just see what happens. I thought he was going to turn on something. I didn't know he was going to hit it. I don't know how far he hit it, but I didn't know he was going to do that.
I think they said it was 405, and then one more.
It wasn't 405.
Well, that's
no
what
way.
That's what the track man said. I don't know.
Track man's broken then.
Okay. What do you think it was?
Farther than 405.
Okay. We'll get Oliver to work on that or something, or get out there with a tape measure. And then I know you filled in for Dave, I guess, when he got ill at the SEC tournament a couple years ago. What was that like, filling in for Dave, not having Dave there?
I mean, it's obviously tough for the team just because he's such a fixture in the dugout, and the guys look to him when things are going a little haywire like they were early, and he's a kind of a calming force in there all the time. And it seems like every button the guy presses usually works out in our favor. So I think that it's never easy when he's not there. Now I will give the guys credit; they play with a ton of energy, and they just never really backed down from anything that was going on. When we got down early, when it wasn't going our way, we were able to punch back a bunch of different times. And I think he'd have been proud of the way the guys fought today. But yeah, when he's not there, it's just it always feels a little weird.
And you're coaching again tomorrow, is what I heard.
We'll see. I don't know. Honestly, I've just been texting with him just briefly about the game. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, they may parachute him in or something.
It would be good for us if he was here.
Yeah.
Matt, go ahead.
Hey, Matt, what was Dave's reaction?
Really happy, obviously. Really happy with it. And the first thing he texted us was just like how proud he was of the way the team fought. And it was the same thing if you're watching the game that you see. It's just like we didn't have a whole lot of back down in us today, which I was really proud of, for the team to be able to do that. In a tough environment. It's not easy to play here. It's not easy to play anywhere in the SEC. They do a really good job. Their crowds are pretty raucous for the most part. I mean, the weather probably thinned their crowd out a little bit, and I guess they had a tournament game too today, so that might have thinned it out a little bit. But the crowd's loud, and I think they do a really good job. They feel like they're right on top of you, and there was a lot of adversity throughout the game, and I think he was really proud of the way the team fought. And it's the same thing that the guys that were there in the dugout, what we were all proud of, is just how much want to there was to get that game.
I guess in the 8th, the umpire had to go off site to get his gear. How was that explained to you? And what was the key to Cooper staying loose and engaged and for him to come back and finish that inning the way he did?
So really proud of Coop for having to sit for 20, I think it was like 22 or 23 minutes at the end of the
It
day.
was over 30.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Well, really proud of Coop for that. He had not had to do that really in his entire career, I don't think, but he played catch and he just kind of stayed engaged. He came up to me kind of like right as the break was happening and told me what pitch he wanted to throw and where he wanted to throw it, and just got himself ready to do that. It was explained to us that just they had to go take the umpires back to their locker room. The umpire had to change, and it was going to be the round trip was going to take a minute. So the umpires were in communication the whole time. They let us know what was going on. They gave Coop plenty of time to be able to get loose. They gave our guys time to play catch in the outfield. They handled it. I thought the umpires handled it as good as you could handle it, given the situation.
I think Auburn scored in 4 innings tonight, and you guys came back and scored in the next half inning 3 times. What did you think of the response that they had to those runs?
Yeah, it's punching back, man. I think that's the key. That is the hallmark of a good baseball team. You know, when you give up a couple, you give up 2, you give up 3, you give up 1, and your team punches right back and punches in a couple of runs. I thought we did a really good job of that just throughout the game. And I think it shows a lot of the fight that I've talked about a little bit earlier, you know, in this post game, just how much fight there is in the group. So anytime that you can score after they score, it's a little bit demoralizing for them. You know, I know, because it is for us when it happens to us. It can really just shift the momentum and put it back in your dugout. And then obviously some of the defensive plays we made today too, I think had a lot to do with, you know, the game going the way that it did.
Ellis.
Yeah, Matt, I'm sure as a pitching coach, you're involved in a lot of these decisions anyway, but what did you make of the fact that the game you're the head coach for, there were like 5 high leverage decisions that needed to be made in terms of pulling guys and stuff like that? Just what did you make of that?
I mean, honestly, like I was talking to Zach Barr, our director of scouting, in the 8th inning, and I was like, I really want to win this game, but this has been a lot of fun to be able to put yourself in the situations, make the decisions. You know, myself, Coach Thompson, Coach Wernes, Clay Goodwin, DJ Baxendale, and Zach Barr, kind of all in there in the brain trust, trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. And, you know, I think we just tried to think of, all right, what would coach do? And then do we have that option available? But yeah, it's fun. You know, those things are fun. That's why you coach to make decisions. And ultimately we want to try to put the decisions that we're making. We hope that puts the players in the best possible position for success. So those decisions aren't easy. Like what we're going to do last night with Gackle and McIntyre, that situation, that's a tough decision. Like, are you going to just roll Will for one more inning last night, or do you put Gabe in? And, you know, it ended up working out great tonight because we had Will available.
And I guess all those decisions kind of worked out. Just did it make you feel better about this pitching staff overall? Obviously not a great outing from Tiger, but you had to piece it together and had to see guys like Cooper Dossett step up in big moments. Like, does that kind of game and seeing each guy kind of pull their part make you feel better about this pitching staff as a whole?
I think it speaks to the depth, and also that we trust those guys in big spots. You know, Coop, that's probably the biggest spot Coop's had to pitch in his entire baseball career here. And I thought he did an admirable job. And, you know, Cody Frank went in there and threw strikes. They hit some of them. And, you know, I thought he threw the ball fine. And, you know, Gage Wood, same thing. Gage was just kind of like a little unfortunate with a lot of the stuff. He threw a really good cutter, got hit down the line for a double. We got a little chopper back to him. We had some miscommunication in the infield, and they end up getting on base right there. And then I thought Stone Hewlett, I mean, that's a huge out to be able to get that, to be able to help us get off the field. And then Coop comes in, and Ben McLaughlin really makes the defensive play of the day, be able to get us off the field right there with a diving play on a tough ball in between hop. Him and Kendall Diggs made unbelievable defensive play. And Peyton Stovall too on that relay throw to get the out at home. So yeah, I'm proud of the pitching, you know, in terms of the guys being able to get into some roles they hadn't been in before. Super proud of the defense.
Hodge.
Yeah, Coach, I'm curious what you thought about Tiger's performance tonight. Kind of what did you see from him? And I think this is 9 walks in his last 2 starts. Is there something in particular you see mechanically that he's doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, I guess for lack of a better term, it's just he's spinning off the ball a little bit. He's not staying through the ball as well as he was earlier in the season. It's something that we have to work on and fix. You know, he's aware of it. I'm aware of it. It's just something that we're gonna have to work through. I think that was the one thing that you see from Brady is it's over rotating on some of those pitches. It pulls him into the other batter's box. If you look at his misses, he's either missing arm side up or, you know, pulling the ball into the glove side batter's box. And that's usually a hallmark of something that's just, and it'll be a rotational issue that we'll fix. Brady's a good rotator and he knows that's a strength of his, but sometimes it can be a weakness if he gets going a little bit too fast and tries to create velocity with the wrong parts of his body. So it's definitely something that we're aware of. It's something that we're locked in on, something that I noticed, and I thought he would be able to get through it today. I wanted to stay with him as long as I could. And ultimately, we just had to make a move. But, you know, Brady's still Brady, and we have a ton of confidence in Brady, and he'll start game 2 next week.
And McIntyre, his performance yesterday and today, just what makes him so effective, or what has made him so effective these last 2 days? And was the plan all along, like if you got a lead, that you were going to go to him in the 9th?
Yeah, we didn't have Gackle available today just because he's a freshman and he hadn't pitched back-to-back days yet. So I didn't feel like that the best time to do that is at Auburn. So he wasn't available, and we knew that Will would be available based on the fact he only threw 23 pitches last night. And he's really durable, and, you know, Will's an absolute animal and he wants the ball all the time, and he felt really good. And, you know, him and I talked before the game about, you know, do you feel good enough to go? Do you want the ball? And it's usually what I ask the guys. I don't really want them to tell me that they feel good enough to go. I have plenty of guys that can go. Like, do you want the ball and are you ready to go? And he said he was, and, you know, obviously he was. The plan was as soon as we took the lead, he was going to pitch. It was either going to be in the 8th or the 9th. We figured we had about 35 pitches worth of work that Will could be able to give us tonight. And luckily, you know, again, luckily for us, it just kind of worked out that we did not use him for the 3rd inning last night, and Gabe was able to get it done. And then that gave us some option to use him tonight. And like I said, if we would have taken the lead in the 8th, he'd have pitched the 8th and the 9th. But the plan was always, as soon as we got the lead, Will was going to pitch in leverage late in the game. And obviously that's what he did. He went in through 11 straight cutters, and they were really nasty. And what makes Will so good? Will's a veteran. And Will's about the toughest guy on the team. So those are the things that help him out mentally. What makes him good physically is he's got really good pitches. You know, I don't know that I think everybody looks at velocity and thinks that's the only thing that matters, but Will commands the baseball. Will's able to make pitches in multiple locations. Will's able to do different things with his cutter when he has to. He's able to bang in his curveball when he needs it. He's got a changeup. He's a veteran. Like I said, he's a veteran. Will's just really good. And I think people are starting to see that, you know, this season. You know, I think he's having a heck of a season. And, you know, obviously we and he both hope it continues.
He only needed 10 pitches tonight. Would he be available tomorrow or no?
I don't ever count Will McIntyre out of the fight. I would be hesitant to use him 3 days in a row.
All right, Sheedy, close it out.
Coach, just 5 stolen bases today. I know obviously Ryder threw the important one out there in the 8th, but is there something that the pitching staff is, I guess, aware of that as SEC play starts, that maybe staffs are, you know, runners are willing to run on the pitching staff a little bit more?
I think runners are willing to run when you give them the bases, and I didn't think we did a great job of controlling the running game at all today. So I don't know that it's the start of SEC play that brings that upon you. I think it's just if you don't do a good job controlling the running game, and, you know, Cooper Weiss has 17 or 18 stolen bases, he's probably going to try to take a base. And he did that to us today, and, you know, some of their other guys did too. And it's something that we have to be aware of, and it's something we certainly need to work our way through. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with the start of SEC play. You actually usually see SEC teams run less. But, you know, Auburn is a team that's got some guys that can do that. And, you know, there's some other teams in our league that do as well. It's just something that we need to work on. You know, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, any team that's playing in our league right now in week 2 is a finished product, and just something we have to get better at.
Specifically for Stone, what is his, you know, was it something out of his arm slot or something that gives lefties so much trouble?
One more time. I didn't get that.
For Stone.
Oh.
What makes him so effective against lefties? Is it, you know?
He's got sweep on his slider, and he throws it in the low 80s, and it's a high spin pitch, and he can really locate it. I think the thing that makes Stone really, really good against lefts is, you know, being able to sweep his slider, but he can also arm side it. I mean, one of those pitches I thought was really close was a slider it was middle in to the lefty that he took. And you very rarely see lefties that can front door breaking balls left on left. It's a tough pitch to throw. And he does it on purpose. And I think that makes him very difficult to deal with because he can still sweep the slider out of the zone and everything's hard. And it looks like his fastball. I don't even think he threw a fastball tonight, but if he were to throw a fastball tonight, the slider planes off the fastball really well. So if you're watching video and you're preparing for Stone, you're going to see the slot that you'd expect fastball, especially when he's behind in the count. He's willing to just continue to spin. And I think that's why lefties have such a tough time with him because, you know, he hasn't thrown all sliders to lefties all season, but he did tonight. And I just think that the pitch looks similar to something that you'd be preparing for if you were trying to hit his fastball, and it spins and it's got a ton of horizontal movement and it's got enough teeth that it's just a really tough pitch to prepare for.
Thanks, coach. All the best.
Yep.
Coach, appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.